John, good to see you. Can you tell us a bit about what Rob Louie is doing?
Well, Louie's formed a nonprofit called Band Members Alliance and Advocacy Association of Canada, or BMAC. He's partnered with lawyers and law firms to get legal representation for band members who've run out of options when dealing with their community's leadership. For example, last weekend for Trust to Profit was the community of Minnesota Lake Cree Nation. We visited the community in March of this year. Since that time, BMAC's got the assistance of a lawyer to begin challenging the Minnesota leadership. And in addition, Mr. Louie recently told me that BMAC's has significantly increased its caseload. BMAC's advocating for people and will even escalate things to the courts if necessary.
Yeah, what's your sense of how big of a need is there for this type of organization?
Well, as was said in part one, many of these concerns are from community members in Indian Act-governed First Nations. Many self-governing nations, such as the ones using custom election codes or who have entered into modern treaties, may have accountability measures in place, like an appeals process. And when it comes to money, there is the First Nations Financial Transparency Act, but it may not be enough, and it's an Ottawa-based system. And First Nations leaders have been calling for a First Nations Auditor General for years, but often without clear and obvious direction for community members to get the answers, it goes to the Canadian courts. You know, and mainstream Canadians, they can fight City Hall. There's usually an ombudsperson or a specially made tribunal, but it's something that isn't there for grassroots band members.
So we'll also be hearing from...
Louie is definitely, and BMAC are definitely filling a need.
Sorry about that, John.
Sorry about that, Dennis.
Our little delay here. We'll also be hearing from Chief Paul. What does he have to say?
Well, you know, for everyone on the outside looking in, Membertou is called a model community. I mean, they've made headlines repeatedly for their success, most recently with the Clearwater seafood deal. But they've struggled too, and their rise to good fortune took years and years of work. Chief Paul tells us about that and how it all comes down to clear policies and principles that guide them. And he says any Indigenous community can have those. He will give them to them for free.
Well, John, looking forward to seeing part two tonight and appreciate you stopping by to talk to us about it.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Dennis.